Good morning, students. So, in last class, we were discussing about capital market and capital market instruments, and we have segregated capital market into two categories: primary market and secondary market. So, while classifying the instrument of capital market, we have capital market can be broadly classified into shares, debentures, that is creditorship. And one more thing we can say, we will discuss this thing later, derivatives. Fine. So we are going to discuss all these three major instruments under capital market. So capital market, we will discuss about shares. Later we will go to debentures. Fine. So what do you mean by shares, or especially when we take the name of share, we consider equity shares. First of all, capital market, while describing capital market instruments, there are two major instruments. One is equity and another one is debt. So while we formulating capital structure of any company, we discuss about equity as a share, and other one is debenture. So, while discussing about equity shares, first of all, what is shares are? So, shares, it is the portion of large or entire capital, entire capital. So, we call this. So, the capital of the company is 600 crores or 600 rupees. Then that 600 rupees is divided into 60 units of rupees 10 each. That rupees 10 each of 60, or that each unit of 10 rupees is called as share. There are 60 shares in our example. So the large entire capital, that is 600 rupees, is divided into 60 part, and each part is worth 10 rupees. We call this as shares. Fine. So while discussing about shares, first of all, first comes up equity shares. It is very important from some point of view also. Equity shares are long-term financing sources for any organization or any business establishment. These are issued to the general public. That means general public invest their money in company. To invest in that company, they have to buy, they have to purchase this company's unit or share, and are non-redeemable in nature. So investors in such shares hold the right to vote share profits and claim assets of the company if assets remains. So I think there are many students who are not from commerce background. They they came here from PUC science. Fine. For them, we need to discuss this in detail. Say, for example, I have a company. It's Vinay's company, and I have 600 rupees. Okay, 600 rupees I have invested, and I need another 400 rupees. Another 400 rupees, where do I get? There are two options available. One is to give partnership. So for this 400 rupees, I can make a partners for this money, or I can borrow from any bank that is loan. Fine. So if I borrow loan from the bank, I have to give them interest and this principal amount. Fine. If I distribute this 400 shares, what happens? If this 400 shares, I segregate this 400 into 40 units at rupees 10 each. So each share of this company is worth 10 rupees. That means the entire 400, instead of borrowing from a single entity, I am dividing this entire 400 into 40 separate units, and I have priced this 40 units at rupees 10 each. So whoever intends to invest in my company, they can invest 10 rupees and multiples of 10. If they are giving 20 rupees to me, they are having 2 units of Vinay's company's shares. If they are investing 40 rupees, they are having 4 units of Vinay's company's share. So what I have done so far is the 400 required amount of rupees 400 I have segregated into 40 smaller units, and each unit is termed as equity shares or shares. So each share is worth 10 rupees. That is the face value of the share. Later we will discuss all these terminologies called face value and many more things. So what we have discussed so far, Vinay's company required 400 rupees. Fine. So this company was operating with 600 rupees its own, and now it needs further 400 rupees. So for further 400 rupees, this person is having two options. Why he can issue shares or he can borrow debt, that is debenture. That is one more capital market instrument, debenture. So what I have done or what this company has done is it has, rather borrowing from any bank, it has issued 40 units of shares to general public, 40 different people. Once they invest through subscribing this company's share, they have, these 40 are general public, and this 10 rupee each, say for example, for this 40 units, Mr. A has invested rupees 10. Mr. B invested 10 rupees. Mr. C rupees 10. Like this, 40 people have invested in Vinay's company now. If Mr. A intends his money back, rupees 10, that is his invested money, if he needs this 10 rupee back, he cannot ask this company to return 10 rupee. That is called as non-redeemable in nature. So where does he gets his rupee 10 back? This company is not returning his principal amount, that is 10 rupee. If B also intends his 10 rupee back, he cannot approach company for asking, because equity shares are non-redeemable, that is non-refundable until this company intends to. We will discuss that point also later. That is exceptional thing. So what we are discussing about equity shares. So equity shares are non-redeemable in nature. That means company is not going to pay back this amount. What happens if company borrows from bank? It has to repay this principal amount also. But what happens in equity shares? The company never returns this 10 rupee to Mr. A. Then if he needs money, where does he go? That's where we classified capital market into two categories. One is primary and another one is secondary market. So this company, Vinay's company has issued, so this company was operating with 600 rupees its own capital. Now it needs further 400 rupee capital. It has issued shares to general public for the first time in this company's history. We call this as primary market. Under primary market, these people subscribed or purchased this company's shares. Now, this person intends his money back. This person wants his invested money back. Then he can sell it to some other person, Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z. In secondary market or stock markets or share markets, Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange, etc. etc. If he invested today and if he wants his money back tomorrow itself, he cannot ask this company. He can sell his shares even after a day in secondary market where all the stock market or share markets operate. And we call it as secondary market. But here the question arises. Capital market operates with long-term funds. That means borrowing or investing happens for longer period, usually for more than a year. But in this case, Mr. A has invested rupees 10 today and he is selling tomorrow itself for a single day. Then how do we consider this shares under capital market? Capital market always operates with long-term funds. See, what he has done is this Vinay's company, here is Mr. A has invested rupees 10 and he has bought the share. So this 10 rupee is with Vinay's company now. So Mr. A wants his 10 rupee back, he cannot ask this company again. Instead, he can sell this share to Mr. B. So Mr. he gives the share, Mr. B gives a 10 rupees. That's how he gets his money back in secondary market. But the initial investment of 10 rupees, it is with this company, it lies with this company. So this company is never going to pay this amount back. So whatever only the ownership of the share transfers in secondary market, but the principal amount or initial amount invested in this company it always remains with the company itself. That is why it is non-redeemable. This share is not redeemable. Only the face or only the owners can change, but not this principal amount. Fine, that's what non-redeemable in nature. So, but what happens if I issue shares or if I borrow from bank? If I issue shares, that means I am giving partnership to these 40 people. When these 40 people have invested in this company, they have the right, they may participate in decision making process of this company because now they have become partners, now they have become owners, part of ownership. That is what they hold the right to vote, share profits. What happens if I borrow from bank? I have to pay periodical interest rate and part of principal amount also. What happens if I distribute or issue shares? I have to share profits because they are partners now. They are the members of this company now. Members in the sense they share portion of ownership in this company. So they are entitled to get this company's profit. If this company liquidates, if this company intends to close its business because of loss, huge loss, if they have borrowed loan, bank will claim all the assets. Bank will realize those assets and take back their invested money. If in this case, if these shareholders or members or partners of this company, if this company sinks, they also lose their investment. Fine. So that's why if equity shares, since they have become the partners, they have become the owners, they have become the member of this company, they have right to vote. They can participate in decision making process. They are entitled to get part of profit, and this part of profit is called as dividend. This is the part of profit distributable among its shareholders or owners or members of the company. So these things are related to equity shares. In next class, we are going to discuss about features of equity shares and what are the advantages enjoyed by equity shareholders. Later, we will switch over to preference shares.